Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 4-H Clover Connection, where 4-H alumni are telling their stories and how 4-H has impacted their life. Today, we're really focusing on our 4-H history. As many of you know, we've been gathering 4-H history and tying that back to our Illinois 4-H timeline. And today, I have a very special guest with us today. I have Maureen Rice with us today, and she and her family have been very involved in 4-H and have really gathered some great stories about her mother that was involved in the 4-H program. And so dating all the way back to the 1930s. And so, Maureen, I'm very excited to have you here today and to join us and to have you share your story about your mom and all of the experiences that she had. So let's get started. Maureen, tell us a little bit about your background and your family and connections to 4-H.
Sure, thank you. Well, my early years were spent on the farm, a few miles outside of Durand, Illinois. Durand is a small little community in northern Illinois, Winnebago County, just a few miles from the Wisconsin border. We moved off the farm when my father passed away at the age of 40, and my two brothers and my mom moved into town. The community is a small little town of about 800 people. And throughout the years, we continued to enjoy life on the farm because we had quite a few relatives actually that lived on the farm. So we were often visiting and participating with farm activities. And in those days, in the 1950s and 60s, there were very few organized sports for boys and none for girls, and very few extracurricular activities. So 4-H was really important part of our lives. I was active in the New England Bells Club, and this was primarily focused on cooking and sewing and things like that at that time. So I have fond memories of club activities and going to camp, and certainly our projects and going to the Winnebago County Fair. Also, one of my brothers, Bob, was showing Angus cattle that he raised on one of our uncle's farms. So he was involved in 4-H too.
That's fantastic. So what a rich history that your family has with 4-H, and especially there in Winnebago County. I know today we're going to talk a little bit about your mother, who is Iona Stansell Meissen, and you have really collected some great stories and experiences about her time in 4-H. And so tell me a little bit about the project that you did and about her experiences in 4-H.
Right. So my mother was born in 1918. She grew up in rural McNabb, Illinois, which is in Putnam County. And a few years ago, my family took an opportunity to write a book about her life story. And prior to this, we had interviewed her over a couple of years to collect her stories and obtain a great deal of information about her life. 4-H was so important to her that she wanted to dedicate a whole chapter in this book to 4-H and how it impacted her life. She became involved in 4-H in 1928. She was 10 years old, and the name of her club was the Snappy Stitchers.
Love it.
So primarily a club for kids that had sewing projects.
Very good. And back in that during that time, a lot of those clubs were boys clubs and girls clubs, and so she obviously was in a girls club at that time, and so hence the name. I think that's really neat. So, and how did what were some of her projects? I know obviously she was involved in a clothing club, but what were some of her favorite projects or activities as a 4-H member?
Yes, so she actually ventured outside of sewing just a little bit, and she had 3 project areas. One was actually showing cattle, and one was giving public presentation, and the last one was sewing, of course. So at the age of 11, she began showing her family's Jersey cattle. So the first year, was a calf, and the next year she showed a heifer, and then the next year she showed a cow. So 4-H was a family affair and a community affair, actually. She chuckled when she would tell us the story about her mother coming to the fair and braiding her animals' tails to get the animal ready for the show ring. And not only that, but she would go down the line and braid the tails of all her competitors' animals as well.
She had a special skill there, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, anyways, it was a fun time. Mom said that she always won third place when she was showing cattle, so she'd get a white ribbon. She never got higher than that, but this kind of helped her accept disappointments.
Yeah.
And then for her speaking presentation, she and a friend of hers put together a program that was called Shoes for Health and Style. She could not remember how they chose such an unusual program, but they went to Henry, Illinois, to the Watercott's dry goods store and borrowed shoes. And then they made some posters. They gave their talk at the county fair, and they answered questions that the audience had, provided demonstrations on certain things, answered questions from the judges. And out of this, they were selected to go to state, where she and her friend received third place in state. And so as a 12-year-old, she said that was pretty
That's a
exhilarating.
big deal. That's right. Yeah.
But her real passion was sewing. And so as an 11-year-old, she sewed a simple dress. The next year, she had a dress and a jacket. And the next year was a wool suit. And then as a 14-year-old, she put together a party dress. And this was made out of chiffon. And then she also made all the lingerie to go underneath this party dress.
Wow.
So this was a rather difficult ensemble to sew, especially on a treadle sewing machine.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And so she went to the fair and received not only a blue ribbon there, but the chance to go to the state fair in 1932, where she won a grand championship ribbon. So the whole family got into their vehicle and traveled south to Springfield to see this display. It was pretty amazing.
Because of her experiences in 4-H and some great experiences that she decided to attend the University of Illinois. So tell me a little bit about why she chose U of I and what she studied and her career path.
Yeah, so she was really fortunate to attend college because she graduated in 1936, and it was the Great Depression at that time. She knew that her family could not afford college,
Right.
but due to a couple of small miracles, she was able to attend. So she had an aunt that happened to live in Champaign, not too far from campus. And her aunt had told her that if she could get some sort of scholarship to pay for college, that my mother could stay with her aunt during that time. And this aunt was a well-established teacher in Champaign.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, it just happened that a full ride scholarship was available to 2 senior high school students in every county in the state of Illinois. But the students had to take a test to see who would get the scholarship. And Mom had told us that she thought her chances were pretty good because Putnam County was the smallest county in the state. So perhaps there'd be fewer students taking the test.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she took the exam and she won the scholarship, and off she went to the University of Illinois in the fall of 1936, pursuing a degree in home economics. And at that time, it was part of the agriculture college.
Mm-hmm.
Home ec was a really important field at that time because, life was very different then. They didn't have the modern conveniences that we have now, and homemakers benefited from learning a lot of the essential skills to manage a home. So she was eager to go to college. And she told us that even though for a lot of people, college, especially University of Illinois, could be rather an imposing institution, that she felt pretty comfortable because she had been to the University of Illinois for several 4-H activities.
So, can you tell me about the impact 4-H had on her decision and her career path? So she studied home economics, and then where did she go from there, and what was her career path?
Sure. Well, 4-H, she said, had a very large impact on her decision to go to college and then also her career path, because coming from a rural community as she did, 4-H really opened up her world to show her, all kinds of opportunities that were outside of the rural setting. And it gave her a lot of skills and confidence and focus to ultimately find a way to go to college during the Great Depression and then also enjoy a successful career as a home economic teacher. And then in turn, this influenced a great number of individuals in our community because of the classes that she taught, not only in sewing and cooking, which a lot of people associate with home economics, but in her curriculum that she wanted to provide classes on budgeting and fiscal responsibility, childcare. She even had an active daycare in the class that she taught on childcare. So they brought the little kids into school for that term, a few hours a day. And then also she taught classes on home management, design, decorating. It covered a wide variety of topics important at the time to homemakers. Sure. And then later in her career, she extended these classes to junior high kids as well as high school, and then boys as well as girls.
All those skills that she learned through 4-H and through her experiences at the University of Illinois, you can tell that she tied all of that together to really make her career path and to bring those unique experiences and teaching opportunities to other youth. And I'm sure there's many out there that have learned from her over the years and remember some of those skills that she shared with them. So, as you think back on this experience of writing this book with your siblings and the experiences that you've had, how did your mother influence you with some of the skills that she may have shared with you over the years?
Right. So, I had a benefit of learning many skills from her, both as a daughter and then in daily life, and then also as a student in her class. In our small little community, there was quite a number of us who had our parents as teachers. So I took her classes. Yeah. So I learned a lot of valuable life skills. And there's two probably that stand out. And the first one, of course, is sewing. As a 6-year-old, Santa brought me my first sewing machine, which was a child-sized Singer, and I had a crank. And I don't know how many doll clothes I made off that machine, but it was fun. And so sewing became a real avocation for me, and I enjoy it even now. Mm-hmm. And the second notable area is probably within the foods and nutrition that I learned from her. She introduced me a connection between food and the nutrition part of that. And it piqued my interest enough so that when I attended college, I took additional classes in that. And I learned the relationship between nutrition and then health and disease. And that became instrumental in my career, my own career in the healthcare setting as I counseled patients.
Mm-hmm.
So she had a big influence on me. She also influenced my brothers as well.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what 4-H does. It builds those generations. We learn from each other, and those skills are passed down. Any other fun facts that you want to share, or things that we didn't get to talk about today?
Well, I think in summary, I would like to say that our family, I think, benefited greatly from our 4-H experiences, and they fostered many things. One is a skill set as you take on some sort of a learning opportunity and delve deeply into it. Creativity, of course, dreaming up projects and presentations and such. And I think the rewards of setting a goal and achieving a goal, learning how to win and lose, building confidence also as you participate in 4-H activities and have to go before audiences or judges.
Mm-hmm.
um, Public speaking, obviously, and I would say the last thing is just gaining a lot of friendships, which we're very grateful as well. Friendships, at camp, friendships in the community, friendships at the fair. We're very grateful for all of these attributes that 4-H gave us.
Well, if that could be a commercial for why kids should join 4-H, I think that would be it. So thank you so much. And I will compliment Maureen and her brothers. It's hard to see this book here in my screen, but I'll put a picture up. They did just a wonderful job of capturing those generational history stories of Ione Stansell Meissen. And so today we remember her. We remember the impact that she's made. And I encourage families to think about those types of experiences while you have the opportunity to capture those stories. And so, Maureen, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your mother's history and life story and connections to 4-H. And so we look forward to our next Clover connection. And for now, we say goodbye.
Thanks, Tina.